I goofed up. What's going on, YouTubers, people in the reptile community? I'm Dylan. This is my girl Cleo. She's a citrus pastel female ball python. And sometimes if you're keeping snakes or other reptiles in your collection, at some point in time, maybe you might run into specimens that might escape from your collection. Many, if not most, reptile keepers, snake keepers have experienced specimens from their collection escaping at least once or a few times during their time keeping reptiles. As reptile keepers, we do our best. We strive to provide the right enclosures, provide the right environments for whatever specimen it is that the avid reptile keeper will be intending to keep. Like my ball pythons here, I keep them in an ARS rack right behind me. It's ideal. I could really dial in and create the right habitats and circumstances to promote breeding and keep these guys healthy and give them what they need. Of course, they will use the extra space if you give it to them. If I had a 100-gallon or 120-gallon enclosure for these guys and they had the appropriate humidity, temperatures, and the appropriate hides, they would thrive in one of those as well. So I routinely check all my critters every single night before I hit the sack. I just check on them, make sure everyone's doing good. I like to look at all my animals daily just to see, look at them, appreciate them, and make sure that there isn't anything that needs to be cleaned in their habitats, and just make sure they're doing good. So I have a high white Pueblan Milk Snake, Looney, who's just a little teeny tiny girl. She's super tiny, pretty fast. She's very darty, flighty. These aren't quite, the milk snakes aren't quite like the pythons where they just like kind of hold on to you. You have to hold on to them. So she's small and she's fast, and I checked her the night before. Things were good. But when I got up the next morning, I was doing another routine check before I headed off to work. So I was checking all the tubs, just giving a quick glance at everybody, misting the containers, and I checked on a tub that I was temporarily housing my milk snake in, and she wasn't there. So I was temporarily housing her in one of these sterilite tubs here. I drilled some holes in the side for ventilation, has some nice locking lids. And she had been staying in this for a couple days, and I've been using these for Reptile Education. If you haven't checked out some of my previous videos, I've been going to like different schools and talking to different groups of kids about how awesome reptiles are and how to properly take care of them, all that fun stuff. So I've been experimenting with the tubs, and things were going great until she escaped. So the thing with the king snakes, unlike these ball pythons, they can't quite push out of these tubs like they do, just slide right out, slide in and out, but they can't push themselves out. Like I can only push so far back because these tubs have stoppers in the back, but I can pull them out. But the thing with the pythons and boas is that they often have kind of squishy heads. They're very sensitive heads. So they're not able to squeeze out of situations or containers that easily. Unlike the milk snake that I have, milk snakes and king snakes have much stronger skulls. So this thing managed somehow to squeeze, push up part of it, probably in the center of the tub, lift up the lid just enough and squeeze out and escape. So having noticed that first thing in the morning right before I had to go to work, I was kind of stressed out all day, but I knew the first thing that if you guys experience an animal in your collection, if it escapes, the first thing you want to do is not panic. My first thought was, well, it probably, if anything, still has to be here in my reptile room. So I shut the door, and I knew that there wasn't anywhere for it to go if it just so happened to still be inside the room. So I just made sure I shoved like a blanket or a towel underneath the door entering the room to prevent it from sliding underneath the door. And I tried just not to panic. So likely during the day, me especially knowing the behavior of the animal, and most snakes are nocturnal, so I knew that my best chances of finding it were probably going to be in the evening. During the day, I figured I was probably just going to find like a nice spot to stay secure and undetected, hidden. So I went about my day, still stressful, got work done early, and raced home, and the search began. So 2, you want to eliminate potential hiding spots. So it's very likely, I don't know what snake wants to be out in the open, none, but they're not going to be like in the center of your room. If you don't have as much stuff, I don't really have that many personal belongings, so I was able to take things along the sides of the walls, pull them from the sides of the wall and put them more in the center of the room, because if anything, when a snake escapes, it's going to follow the line of the wall and just stay as close to the edges and not be out exposed in the middle of the room. I checked all my closets, the kitchen, the living room, and pulled everything away from the walls and checked the sides of the walls. And this being a ground-dwelling species, the Pueblan milk snakes actually are kind of a burrowing species, so you won't find them like arboreal or semi-arboreal. They won't be like hanging out up tall, unlike some of your pythons or boas. If that's the case, then you might want to do a little bit more work than that and try and look up a little taller in places. But most likely they're going to be like hiding somewhere secure, maybe underneath a dresser or some piece of furniture, and somewhere dark and cozy, and just stay there until night falls and they can come out and explore. So some of the tips that I'm giving you guys today come from other channels like Snake Discovery and other reptile keepers, so definitely go check out some of those other channels if you might be experiencing something similar. So now there are keepers that have escaped specimens that have gone missing for a couple days to several weeks to maybe even a couple months before they just somehow miraculously find them like behind their trash can or like inside the laundry or somewhere weird. So I set up just a couple basic traps. I figured, knowing the behavior of the animals, are gonna follow the wall line, and you can put like some like plastic bags or something, like cut them open and make them real loose and place them along the line of the wall. And at night, if the snake is exploring when the house is real quiet, you could probably just listen very carefully, and it just so happens to like glide over a piece of like plastic or something that's going to make a little bit of noise, you'll be able to pinpoint its location. I've also heard that you could sprinkle like the entrance to a room. If you have like hardwood floors or tile, you could sprinkle like powder or something, that if you place like a nice clean line of powder and check it like a couple hours later or in the morning, and if the line that you created is disturbed, then you have a general idea of where the snake might have gone. So when I got home from work, that was the first thing I did, was pull everything away from the walls, make sure that I took everything from the bottom out of my closets and checked the small spaces and tried to eliminate the potential hiding spots. That is, if it was still out and about and it would come out at night, I didn't want it to go in one room and into another and into a closet. I wanted to eliminate as many hiding spots as possible. And I honestly tore my whole house apart. And the very good news, guys, I did find her. She's no longer missing. The very last place I checked after hours of searching actually wasn't that far away. So she's secured now. She's inside her tank here with a sliding lid that goes in and out, and there's no way I've made sure that she cannot get out of this one. She wasn't on this top tier previously. She was on one of these lower tiers next to my Pac-Man frog here. But she somehow got out of one of these tubs here and climbed down, and she was literally underneath this bookcase that I have here right at the bottom. She was hiding behind there, so she didn't get very far at all. So that's just the thing, don't panic. It's very likely that if you do have an escaped snake, that it's probably not too far away from where it had escaped, even though this specimen of mine, the Pueblan milk snake, is very small and pretty fast. Unlike these pythons here, I'd have a very hard time losing her. She's very slow and quite large. What are you doing? So it was a sigh of relief when I found her. Yeah, it was after all the work, the hours of searching, and she wasn't that far, and that she wasn't like stuck somewhere, somehow got outside where she'd pretty much essentially have no chance of survival. I was so glad that I have found her, and now she's situated. As soon as I got her found and placed in her new tank, I'm sure she had a lot of fun out on her rendezvous. So I got her fed her 2 pinkies, so she's all grubbed up. So definitely, as I continue with my reptile adventures, I want to strive to take those extra precautions and make sure nothing like that happens again, because that's stressful and not right for the animal. I always want to do the right thing for the animal and keep them the right way, make sure they're safe, and I can provide the best quality of life for them. So I'm just glad she's okay, she's found, she's back in her home, and she's back with her appropriate environment and temperatures, humidity, all that stuff. And she's got a full tummy, got her fed, and definitely glad that she wasn't missing a lot longer. She essentially was missing for just 1 day. A lot better than a few weeks, or not at all, never. So hey guys, I hope you found today's video entertaining, educational, informative. Hope these tips and tricks help you. Or first and foremost, just make sure that if you do have exotic specimens in your collection, make sure that they're housed properly, they can't get out, because you don't want that unnecessary stress. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts, so do me a huge favor, drop me a comment below and I'll get back to you. We could exchange, share ideas. Do me a huge favor, if you enjoy reptile content, if you like art, that's what this channel is all about. So do me a huge favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Hitting the like button helps the YouTube algorithm try and get my videos out to more people. And hit the subscribe and the all notifications button so that you can stay up to date with all the content that I post weekly. I post every Friday and Sunday. So guys, just remember, first thing, don't panic. Eliminate potential hiding spots. If you don't have that many personal belongings, move things away from the walls. Set up little traps and listen at night, because that's when most snakes are pretty active. Then if you do find your specimen, make sure that you provide the most secure habitat for it and that it has everything that it needs in its environment to thrive. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you guys. This is Cleo, I'm Dylan, you watch Prehistoric Companions, and I will see you guys on Sunday, alright? Peace.